Welcome, everybody, and thank you for being here. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most overlooked opportunities in self-publishing, public domain publishing. Now, when most people hear the words public domain, they either have no idea what it means, think it sounds complicated, or assume it's some kind of loophole. But here's the reality. Public domain publishing has created opportunities for people who don't want to write massive books from scratch, want faster publishing workflows, want evergreen content, want to build publishing assets more efficiently. And honestly, most beginners completely understand how public domain publishing actually works. Some people think you just copy an old book, upload it, and make money. And that's why many public domain books, self-published, fail. Today, I'm going to show you what public domain really means, where to find legal public domain content, the biggest mistakes beginners make, how to actually add value, how retirees can use public domain publishing strategically, and how one old book can become multiple income producing assets. So let's dive in. Let's start simple. Public domain means a work is no longer protected by copyright. That means the material can be legally used by the public. Now, this is important. Not everything old is public domain. This is where beginners get themselves into trouble. Copyright laws vary by country, publication year, renewal status, author death dates. So you absolutely must verify rights carefully. But there are massive libraries of legitimate public domain content available legally. Examples include classic literature, vintage children's stories, historical books, old educational texts, poetry, fairy tales, antique cookbooks, religious texts, and government publications. The key is understanding that public domain gives you access to the material, but it does not guarantee success. Let's talk about the biggest mistakes beginners make. Lazy duplication. Some people think I found an old book, I'll upload it exactly as is. And that approach generally fails. Why? Because thousands of people are already doing the same thing. Amazon does not reward low value duplication. And honestly, customers don't either. The real opportunity is transformation. This means better formatting, new illustrations, improved readability, new audiences, new packaging, new formats, better organization, and modern usability. That's where value is created. So let's talk about some of the best opportunities that we should focus on. Children's adaptations. This is one of the strongest opportunities. Many classic stories can be simplified, rewritten for younger readers, re-illustrated, turned into educational formats. For example, shortened fairy tales, simplified classic adventures, bedtime story collections, learning readers. Parents still love classic style storytelling, but modern presentation matters. Large print editions. This is especially valuable for older audiences. Many public domain books can become large print editions, easier to read formats, and senior-friendly versions. Simple transformation, practical value. Educational breakdowns. Old educational materials can become study guides, simplified summaries, workbook companions, activity books. You're turning old information into modern usability. Public domain illustration books. Vintage illustrations themselves can become coloring books, decorative books, art collections, quote books. Again, transformation creates the value. Multi-format publishing. One source can easily become a paperback, an ebook, large print, children's version, a workbook version, quote collection, study companion. That's leverage. Public domain publishing can become especially attractive for retirees. Why? Because many retirees prefer structure, prefer modifying rather than inventing from scratch, want lower creative pressure, want practical systems, and appreciate historical material. You do not always need to start with a blank page, and this matters. Sometimes the hardest part of publishing is simply getting started. Public domain gives you a foundation. And honestly, many retirees have better patience for research and organization than younger people chasing trends. That's an advantage. Where do you find public domain material? So let's talk about the legitimate sources. Be sure to write these down. Some of the best known ones are Project Gutenberg. This is located at gutenberg.org. Thousands of classic books are available legally. The Internet Archive at archive.org. Historical books, scans, documents, and vintage materials. The Library of Congress digital locations at loc.gov. Massive historical collections are here. HathiTrust.org, HathiTrust Digital Library, Research and Historical Materials, Standard eBooks, standardebooks.org, well-formatted public domain classics. Now again, always verify copyright status carefully before publishing. Do not assume, verify. Let me get really honest with you here. The internet is flooded with low-effort public domain uploads. This is not the business model you want. The winners are usually doing one thing. They improve the user experience. This can mean better covers, better formatting, better readability, better organization, better audience targeting, and better educational usability. This is critical. Customers pay for convenience, clarity, and presentation, not just information. Packaging matters enormously. Many old books fail simply because the cover's terrible. The formatting is outdated, the title's confusing, the interior is hard to read. Modern readers expect modern usability. A clean professional presentation can completely change the perceived value. This is why beginners should focus heavily on covers, readability, organization, and audience targeting, not just uploading files quickly. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is chasing giant, complicated projects immediately. Start simple. One classic bedtime story adapted for children, one large print edition, one themed quote collection, one educational workbook companion. Simple projects teach systems, and systems scale. Complicated, unfinished projects produce nothing. So let's talk about expectations. Public domain publishing is not instant money. There is competition, there is work involved, but the advantage is leverage. You're starting with existing foundations instead of creating every word from scratch. That saves enormous time, especially when you're building educational books, children's books, companion projects, and multi-format catalogs. The goal is not one magical book. The goal is building assets. This is why I always encourage beginners to start with structured publishing systems first. Because once you understand the formatting, the layout, the covers, categories, publishing workflows, you can apply these skills across many different publishing opportunities, including public domain. For those interested in beginner-friendly educational publishing, I currently offer training programs focused on simple, repeatable children's book creation. One program is Count and Create, Mastering 1, 2, 3 books. This program teaches step-by-step systems for creating counting books designed for repeatable series publishing. And Read and Print, Mastering ABC books. This is my easiest and most cost-effective beginner-friendly training at $37. It includes ready-to-use templates, training videos, free software guidance, and repeatable publishing systems. These programs are designed especially for people who want practical publishing workflows without unnecessary complexity. So let me leave you with this thought. Many people think publishing always starts with creating something completely new. But some of the smartest publishers in history understood something important. Value is often created through presentation, organization, accessibility, and transformation, not just originality. Public domain publishing is not about copying old books. It's about making old material useful again for modern audience. And that's where the opportunity lies, especially for people willing to think practically instead of emotionally. Thank you for being here today. I hope this webinar opened your ideas to the possibilities inside public domain publishing and showed you that publishing opportunities are far broader than many people realize. Remember, you don't need to start from zero to start building something valuable. Make it memorable, make it different than everyone else's, add value. Get a copy of my free children's book series starter kit today. Go to chasethebutterfly.com and sign up to get your free download. See you next week.